In a previous video on YouTube, we went over the Type 99 Arisaki rifle that my father brought back from the South Pacific after serving in the Navy during World War II. I had also mentioned briefly that the Type 30 bayonet that you see in this video was brought back by my father-in-law. Interesting story. In 1976, he became a father-in-law in 1978. Had played with the Type 99 rifle for years as a child, listening to the stories of my father about the South Pacific and World War II. It wasn't until the late 80s that, as I was telling my father-in-law a little bit more about the rifle, that he said that he had brought a bayonet back from the South Pacific. This is that bayonet. The reason why it was an interesting story is because I ran home, obtained the rifle, came back, and the bayonet fit perfectly, and we'll go over that in just a few minutes. This is the bayonet that is in the scabbard at this point, and in just a second we'll take it out. Alright, while off. Yeah, as I try to do this, of course the symbols that are on the bayonet, this is kind of clumsy because I'm doing it by myself. You can see the, I guess the stacked cannonballs. Then immediately to its right is the arrow with an M in it. I think you can see that well in this part of the video. That tells you where the Type 30 bayonet was made. We'll go over that in a second. These were originally designed in 1897 and all through World War II. Okay, I'm going to use a little extra knowledge here. This is a website which shows the particular symbol right in the middle of the screen. See the stacked cannonballs and the arrow with the M. It's referred to as the National Denki under Kokura supervision. Let me give some credit where credit is due. This is the website where I obtained this particular information. Hopefully you'll be able to read that. This website has a lot of information on the Type 99 rifles and the Type 30 bayonets and where they were manufactured. So this gives you an idea of the detail that the Japanese Army had concerning their manufacturing, when, where, and a lot of specifics. Okay, now I've taken the bayonet out of its scabbard. What I'm going to try to do with one hand is show how the bayonet works with the Type 99 rifle. As you can see, this is the hook. A lot of the bayonets were actually straight. This part is the hook. There's a wooden, I want you to get a good view of that, wooden handle and the metal at the end, showing a little bit of the hook. Meticulous in its manufacturing. This bayonet looks like it's been used. It's been roughed up. Of course, if it was used by a soldier, I'm sure this is a pretty decent weapon. The blood blade running alongside. These things are pretty scary looking. Alright, you can see how it's hooked onto the rifle, and then this is the release as it locks on. Let's try this. Okay. You can do it with the cleaning rod remaining, and as it gets on, it hooks, and now it's locked in. As you can see, the release is on this side once it locks on. So this is a pretty decent weapon, at least in hand-to-hand combat. To release it, you have to press this, pull, and the blade comes loose. Quickly it gets on, quickly it gets off. Just the fact that my father-in-law had the bayonet and my father had the rifle really makes it interesting. I had hoped that the rifle would have been manufactured at the same place as the bayonet, but that wasn't quite accurate. So there's some other videos on the on YouTube under my site dealing specifically with the Type 99 rifle and the cavalry sword that we recently donated in November of '09 to the World War II Museum in New Orleans. They did not have one. They had a lot of samurai swords, but they didn't have the cavalry sword, so we donated that. There's a video on YouTube on that particular sword and the story behind it. That was also brought home by my father. So there you have it. Type 30 bayonet used by the Japanese Army and its casing. Manufactured at the National Denki under Kokura supervision. And to those who speak fluent Japanese, please forgive me for mispronouncing those names. Hope you enjoyed this.